Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Garden Knox. I'm George, and in this video, I'm going to show you how I'm going to propagate a crown of thorns. So a couple of safety things first is you must be aware that the crown of thorns sap is quite toxic and it's also covered in thorns. So whenever handling it, just be aware when you're taking your cutting, probably best to wear gloves so you don't get any sap on you. Now the crown of thorns grows best in warm conditions, so propagating around spring, summer is probably the best time to do this. Now when choosing a stem to cut, it does work best when you choose a stem from a new growth stem. They do root better. Now when choosing a cutting, you want to choose one that's preferably from a new growth and at least 4 to 6 inches long. Mine here is the leaves are covering the tip of it, but mine's about 6 inches long. You would want to choose one that's got a few leaves on it. This has got too many for me. I'm going to have to take some off. Obviously a few have already started drying out. So when you take the cutting, like I said, beware that sap that comes out is toxic. So what you'd want to do is just leave it sit on paper for a handful of days, maybe 3 to 5 days. This is actually 8 days later for me because I wanted to record this video and I haven't had a chance until now. The reason you want to leave it for those 3 to 5 days is just so the end of the cutting can callus over. You don't want it to be potted when it's just freshly cut. It's more than likely the plant will probably have rot and fail. So mine's certainly dry and calloused over, and we're ready to plant it. First, I'm just going to remove the leaves that I don't want on this plant. So I really only want 4 or 5 leaves left on it, so I'm just going to take everything off that I don't want. Just be gentle. The leaves, if you've let it dry out for a couple of days, the leaves will come off pretty easy. You can see actually the sap is still it comes out whenever you pull a leaf off, so just be careful that you don't get that on your skin. It may irritate you. These off, maybe just one more. I'll take this one because it's the least best looking of the bunch. Alright, now we simply fill up our pot with cactus potting mix. I usually put a little bit of shade cloth in the bottom. Because it's such fine mix, I don't want it just to run out the bottom, particularly because I'm inside and don't want to make a mess. So let's just put that on top. It doesn't stop the drainage, the water draining out from the bottom. So it's just to try and keep some material in. For a crown of thorns, you want to use just cactus potting mix. I just pre-buy mine. I don't mix it myself. I'll eventually have a blog post on how to mix your own cactus mix if you wanted to. I'll pin that comment when I get around to it. So if you're watching this video sometime in the future, you may be able to head over to my website gardenknox.com and check it out. Alright, so we'll just fill up the bottom half of this pot. Now one thing I will say is if you wanted to, the crown of thorns, they can develop roots just in water. So if you were to not want to, if you just wanted to leave it in the water to develop those roots first, yeah, you just watch out for the devil ivy. Just place it in the water, leave it in the jar for a couple of weeks until you see roots develop, and then you'll be able to pot it with roots and know that it's going to succeed. But this is how I'm going to do it. So now we just make a little divot in the potting mix and place the crown of thorns in there. You want to probably plant it about 1 inch deep, roughly about there. So I'm going to do half that, and then I'm going to fill up the rest of the pot with some more potting mix. Just press it in just to keep it steady. Now that it's potted, we want to give it its first water. Now you don't want to overwater these. They don't need a lot. You just want to water them maybe once a week when the first sort of inch or so of the soil becomes dry. That's a sign that you need to water it again. So we're just going to fill it up now, make sure, fill it up until the water runs through the bottom. And you can see now that the water's drained through. So I'm going to let that finish draining through empty out the bottom of that pot. Then I'm going to leave this somewhere that it gets indirect light. You don't want it to get direct sunlight because it hasn't developed any roots yet. If you leave it in direct sunlight, it's just going to dry up and be another failed cutting. So that's the steps to propagate a crown of thorns. If you want to check out my blog, gardenknocks.com, and I'll have a blog post about this, and there may be some extra bit of info that I didn't think to say during this video, but I'll get that posted up in the next couple of weeks. So if you're watching this sometime in the future, you'll be able to watch it then. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you found this video on propagating a crown of thorns useful. Make sure you subscribe if you want to receive notifications for any future videos. Alright, thank you. All the best.